We are live. Hey, I'm Simon.
I'm Ellie.
And you probably know us from Nerd Safari. So we just hit a couple of milestones. We just hit our first year on YouTube. It was just around the end of March 2020 when we pivoted from doing in-person events to doing YouTube events. And we also just hit 3,000 subscribers. So partly we just wanted to say thank you very much. And we figured we would chat about what our journey is. Hey, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Awesome to see you. Thanks for joining us. So I guess we would start off, and as I say, mostly what we wanted to do was say thank you to everyone for the journey that we've been on. But I figured we would also take a second to talk about why we decided to jump onto YouTube in the first place, because it was not something we'd ever experimented with before. And we started off, I guess we were just movie lovers, right? We just would go to the cinema. And from when we first met, 22 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
We would go every single Friday or Saturday night to go and see whatever movies were on. Like, we just love movies. And we kind of brought that when we emigrated to the United States. We brought that over here as well. And we, hey, thank you. Thank you for the congratulations. And we found a cinema near us called the Alamo Drafthouse Cinemas, where it was just amazing. Not only would they do kind of food and drink at your seat, and they would serve local beer as well, which was pretty cool. So you could have beer and cocktails when you were watching a movie.
And it was good food too. It wasn't just kind of like hot dogs and chicken tenders. It was proper like salads and sandwiches and burgers. And they did really good pastas and the proper home cooked food.
Yeah, really good food, really good drinks. And they would not only show the biggest blockbusters, but they would also show kind of cult classic movies and foreign movies, like black and white horror movies. And we would just go along there and have a great time. And after a while, we would start to go in costumes. So we would go to like some of the big superhero movies, like the Marvel movies and the DC movies, dressed up as those characters. And I think they approached you first, right, to ask about hosting.
Yeah, they asked, there was a small group of people that they asked if they would like to host special movie events and things. And at the time I was full-time mom, I guess, just to belittle things. And it was, I'd like a challenge, and I liked, like, it was kind of scary. And I thought that was probably a good sign that it was something that I should do as a challenge, kind of practice public speaking and writing things. And I was just really excited about the movies, and having a chance to talk to other movie nerds as well was really fun. And then there were a couple that I couldn't do, and then there were a couple that they asked me to do that I thought were definitely more Simon's type of movies. So Simon started doing it as well. And then we did a few together, kind of like tag teaming it, and then we would write skits and have characters. And it helped, especially with the practical movie events, where we would have kind of interactive elements to the event that we were running, whether it was, we'd sometimes have family parties where we'd have craft stations for the children, or we would have, a trivia event right before the movie. There was one where I did an Olympic Games in the movie theater, and I had people running around the theater, and we had like ring toss games and relay races around the theater. So it was helpful to have two people. And it just became a fun thing that we really enjoyed kind of playing with together.
Yeah, you know what was just blew my mind was, first of all, they would give us free tickets to see the movie. So I was like, what, you're literally going to let us watch movies for free, which was kind of mind-blowing, because we would spend a good chunk of change every single week on movies. So that was pretty awesome. Then they would also give us free food and drink credits. So we could literally sit there, eat free food, drink free beer, watch free movies on a weekend. And we got to feel like celebrities. So it was pretty fun. We started off just doing these really niche movies, like old horror movies and old sci-fi movies on a Monday evening or something. By the end of the time, and this was probably around 2 years into our relationship with them, we were hosting all of the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker premieres, Marvel premieres, and the big event that we had scheduled that was just, I was so blown away, was there was a new Star Wars documentary being released. And we were both going to host it. I was going to host it dressed as the Mandalorian. I made my own suit of Mandalorian armor. I had like a microphone and speaker and everything hooked up. And we were going to do a live interview with Anthony Daniels, who of course plays C-3PO. And literally the night before, we get a message from the Alamo Drafthouse team saying, really, really sorry, but we're going to have to shut down the theater temporarily because of something called coronavirus. And we were like, well, I guess that's not going to be a big deal. But here we are a year later, and the Alamo Drafthouse, at least near us, is still closed. So
I think they're working on it from what I've heard. They're hoping to open it reasonably soon. And I think now they've managed to vaccinate. Well, they've opened up vaccinations to everyone over 16 in New York now. So
yes, so hopefully things are moving in the right direction. But before we get to talking about our YouTube journey and how that started, let's answer some questions, because our friend Stone Cold here is in the audience in the live chat room and has taken a step away from WrestleMania today. So thank you for prioritizing us over wrestling. Some questions. So first of all, we're not sitting in a car. This is our humble abode. This is where we live. You're in our dining room. Behind us is our lounge. And in a minute, we'll show you some of the artwork on the walls, because we have some kind of cool movie-related artwork. When are we coming to India, man? You know, we've never been to kind of mainland India. We spent some time in Sri Lanka, which was just incredible, like such an incredible place. And, you know, clearly there are parts of Sri Lanka that are Tamil speaking. There are parts in the tea country where there are loads and loads of Indian people, and we spent some time there. And then there are the kind of Buddhist Sinhalese areas. So we got a little bit of a taste for what it might be like to visit, but not enough. So oh my goodness, I would love to travel anywhere, but India would be a pretty incredible trip.
Definitely going to make more plans to travel. I think it's given us a new appreciation for how much we could have traveled, and we definitely want to make up for that now.
Yeah. So what year did we first meet for the first time?
1999.
1999. And
back in the 1900s.
Yes, exactly. Tonight we're going to party like it's 1999. Yeah, and you know, we met for the first time. I think I proposed after 2 weeks, maybe 1 week.
Yeah.
We got married 3 months later, the day before Halloween. If you like the Crow movies, it's called Devil's Night. And that was nearly 22 years ago. So all those people who said it was too soon and it wasn't going to work.
It might not.
Yeah.
There's still a chance.
They were probably still far more sensible and grown up than we are, but... what's our favorite movies? You know, that's a tough one. What's your favorite movie ever, if you had to pick one?
Oh no, that's really difficult.
Yeah, if you had to pick three.
It's tough because favorite is such a big question. Like, there are movies that are really important to me, but I wouldn't necessarily want to watch them again. And then there's movies that I would watch over and over again. I really like Fifth Element.
Ooh.
That's one of my favorites because I love the effort that went into it and just the style of it and the acting. And I just feel like it's so iconic. And I was really excited when I was asked to host that at the Alamo. Actually, I think that colors my idea about favorite movies, having done the Alamo stuff for so long. I think I'm definitely more inclined to love movies that I hosted, because before the movie, we tended to do a deep dive and do like a ton of research. And you see some of our early videos, we recorded some of those. So if you scroll back past 100,000 trailer reactions, or just look at the playlists, they're all in there. There's some kind of deep dives in that we did. That was kind of a sample of what we tended to do at the Alamo. And I feel like that made me a lot more sympathetic to the movie when I'd done a deep dive and I found out about kind of behind the scenes things and like little crew stories that you would hear, and finding out how the actors got their roles and kind of special things that the actors did to prepare. That definitely gave me a deeper appreciation for movies that I love. So I'm definitely, and Fifth Element was definitely one of those, and Tank Girl as well. That was another one. And The Craft, I don't know.
There's your three.
Yeah.
Fifth Element, Tank Girl, and The Craft.
Yeah, there's just too many.
For me, probably my number one movie ever is The Crow. I've seen that so many times. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid, literally to the point where I went to a market when I was 18, and spent £400, which is probably about $500, $600 on a leather coat that looked like Brandon Lee's coat in The Crow. And and that, that was more than a month's salary for me at the time. It was a crazy amount to spend on a coat, and I still have that coat now. Sometimes I wear it when I dress as the Undertaker. Sometimes I dress as Brandon Lee in The Crow. But yeah, The Crow I thought was amazing. I got to visit Brandon Lee's grave in Seattle a couple of years ago. There's like a double grave with Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, but a beautiful place. It's kind of in this gorgeous countryside area overlooking a lake. It's yeah, very just a nice place to hang out for a minute of quiet. I'm also a big fan of the Rambo movies as well. I grew up loving the very first Rambo First Blood movie, to the point where I literally would run around. I desperately wanted that knife that he has, and I have that today, but as an 8-year-old, I clearly didn't. But I used to run around in the countryside near where I grew up and just pretend I was John Rambo hiding from soldiers. Yeah, I loved actually really the whole Rambo franchise. One more, I guess. Of course, I mean, Star Wars to me, the very first Star Wars, back when it was just called Star Wars and not A New Hope. That to me was probably just one of the most perfect movies ever made. And I've gained appreciation for other sci-fi franchises. I never liked the first Dune movie until we hosted a Dune event at the Alamo Drafthouse. And actually seeing how difficult the book is to work with now that I'm reading the book, and just some of the challenges they had to overcome to make that movie. Actually, I do appreciate it more, but it's nothing compared to Star Wars. Star Wars was just like that to me was almost like a religious experience as a kid. It was pretty amazing.
I'm really interested to find out more about how you feel about the Dune movie since reading the book. Do you now have an understanding of why David Lynch kind of took his name off it, or distanced himself from it?
Yeah, I mean, so the first Dune movie, David Lynch did a cut that was more than 3 hours long. Then the people who were distributing that movie, they did a much shorter cut, and they messed around with the music behind it, and there were different versions in Europe and the USA. And I think he had to make so many compromises that I think it kind of messed it up. But we got a couple of more questions here. Where are we from? Well, originally we're from England. So we both grew up around the southeast of England and moved around a bit. We now live just north of New York City. So we moved over to New York about 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years this year. Let's talk a little bit about how we got into YouTube, because I think that's kind of interesting, especially if people are just getting started on their YouTube journey. So we decided, well, actually, you had an idea. I distinctly remember we were kind of bored one day, and there was a kind of a tiny bar near us that did craft beers and things. And that we were sat down there, and you were saying, you know what, seeing as the cinemas are all closed now due to COVID, maybe we could just take what we were doing and just put them on YouTube. And honestly, my first thought was, yeah, I would love to do that. That sounds fun, but nobody's going to watch it. Like, nobody is going to want to hear us talk about movies. And, it'll be fun. Our friends will hit like on it, and, we'll get 10 views or something. And that was kind of how it started, right? That I think I am always a bit too much of a perfectionist, and it takes me a little while to get rolling with something, because I worry too much about the quality. Whereas you just rip the Band-Aid off and just you just did a recording of the Flintstones movie using your phone, and like, definitely the quality of the video is not great, the audio is super quiet. We had never edited a video before that, like not one. I mean, well, maybe one family Hawaii video. But that was our first ever attempt. We had no kind of intro, no graphics, nothing.
No skills.
Yeah, but it put something online. A few friends watched it, and it got 100 and something views. But it did at least get us thinking about how can we improve on this and how can we do better. And I think the thing that I most learned was, like, it's so different. Kind of hosting an in-person event where you've got 300 people in a packed cinema. They've all had a few drinks, and they're all desperate to see the new Star Wars movie or the new Marvel movie. And it's kind of an exciting, and you feed off of their energy, and you get cheers and claps and things, applause. doing it in front of a camera or even just your mobile phone in an office is just so flat. Like, it's so hard to generate personality when you're just talking to yourself or to nobody.
Without that feedback.
Yeah, and that was the hardest thing for me, because I felt like we did have some personality in those live events, but I kind of watched some of my earliest videos, and it's like I'm sleepwalking. It's just so flat. So question about the thumbnails. This is an interesting one, because we decided early on, I personally hate ads in videos. And we were kind of getting to the point where we could possibly monetize our channel and earn some income from it. But the income you earn is so small. And especially at the size we are, it's like maybe $20, $30 a month or something. It doesn't even pay for, any of the equipment we use. And the ads are so annoying that I was kind of thinking, these people have taken the time to like and subscribe. Do we really want to punish them with these crappy, stupid ads? So we made the decision not to monetize our channel, which kind of meant that we decided to try to keep things on a low budget in terms of what we were doing. So we did buy a pretty decent camera. We bought a pretty decent microphone and kind of a couple of microphones that we use and some studio lighting type stuff, but none of that was super expensive. But in terms of tools, I literally use, and I almost feel embarrassed saying this, I literally use Microsoft PowerPoint for our thumbnails. So all I do is I take the thumbnail or some kind of thumbnail from the movie. I normally add the logo of the movie in the corner, so it's kind of obvious what it is. And then I use a free graphical editing piece of software called the GIMP. Where I just delete the background behind us and I put us over the top of it. So yeah, literally, thank you. Yeah, we do care for our viewers. But yeah, literally our thumbnails are free. Maybe even more shocking, because we do green screens and visual effects and things, but all of our editing is just in iMovie, which is free on the Mac. So I don't use Premiere Pro or Avid or any of those tools. I literally just use iMovie. And my Mac cooks when I'm editing those videos, but I think the quality is kind of where we want it to be at now, and maybe we'll step it up later.
Maybe you could talk about our in-house artist.
Yeah, so yeah, if you like our kind of cartoony logo, because we started off again with just a logo that was just designed in PowerPoint, just using word art, so super basic. But our in-house artist is 15-year-old Zen, who designed the Nerd Safari logo and the thumbnail for this video as well. So Zen is awesome and has, and I'm hoping we'll get more custom artwork. But trying to convince a 15-year-old to work on their parents' YouTube channel is not as easy as you might expect.
My favorite thing was when we asked if they could design one for us, and we got the proofs sent over with watermarks on, and they refused to remove the watermarks until we paid for the design.
Yes,
I like that level of attention to detail, and just that they value their artwork so much that they kind of don't give it away even to parents.
Yeah. So in the chat here, Jeshu, thank you very much. You're saying that you appreciate the research we do on movies. And, we particularly started doing that. Actually, we used to do that with the Alamo Drafthouse screenings that we hosted, because we were literally sharing trivia and Easter eggs and getting people excited about the movies. But particularly when we started covering movies from other languages and other cultures, we didn't want to just be a couple of foreigners just gawping at a movie's visuals. We wanted to know something a little bit more about the movies. So we try to do our research and treat every movie with the respect that it deserves. Apart from maybe the Snyder Cut. No, that was a joke.
I like the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, it was okay.
I was determined not to, but I liked it.
And hey, Greyman, thank you for joining us. Greyman has been one of our subscribers probably since literally day one. So Greyman runs an awesome channel talking about comics and beer and heavy metal music. So if you haven't seen the Greyman, then check his channel out as well. I like your idea about not giving them dinner. Yeah, in this case, Gray, we were talking about our logo, which was designed by 15-year-old Zen, and we didn't receive the the logo until we paid for it. So I like your idea about not giving them dinner until they've done their share. All right, yeah, we will show you our house. We'll show you a few pieces of artwork in a minute. If it's not too dark and dreary here. It's raining like crazy here in New York today. So what else were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about kind of how we imagined YouTube was going to go versus the reality. And to me, like I said, I actually imagined we were going to get 0 views, which pretty much was the reality when we started doing this. I know some people have this idea that, they record themselves playing Fortnite for an hour, they put it on YouTube, and they're expecting the views to roll in. But, when you look at the number, like the thousands of other people that are doing exactly the same thing as you, like, why would YouTube prioritize your videos over other people? And that was kind of what we found as well. Like, there's so many people that do really great movie reactions and reviews and trivia, and you really have to kind of look at what are we bringing to the table that makes us different to everybody else. And I think you came up with most of the ideas, right? You came up with the Nerd Safari name, with Drunk Trailer Ambush, with the Nerdict reviews. Like, I think you've come up with all of the kind of hooks that people like about this stuff.
I like it that I just come up with stuff and then you go and do put in hundreds of hours of work to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's proper teamwork.
Oh, have we ever thought of vlogging? I actually love the idea of vlogging. Yeah, as you can tell, I love just talking about stuff, and especially during COVID. Like, I used to work in an office and go to lunch with people and chat for an hour. I miss that actually, and vlogging would be at least a substitute where I could talk to people virtually. Yeah, maybe one thing that I really want to do in the future. First of all, get to Comic-Cons again, and we may be able to get to a Comic-Con in August if the vaccine rollout goes well. There's a big one in Washington, D.C. that is still scheduled, and I think they're trying to do the right thing and be safe. So Comic-Cons, I would love to do vlogs from Comic-Cons and show you all the different cosplayers and, record all the different panels and things. And yeah, I think there's so much going on there that would be really, really cool to watch. And car shows as well. I'm such a car geek. We are going to one in June. It's like the biggest Ford show in basically in the United States. So that should be a fun thing. If you like cars, otherwise skip those ones. You'll be going to sleep. Yeah, the cocktails. Yeah, Gray was just asking about the cocktail names. We definitely still drink. I mean, we did last night, but we got to the point where every Friday night we would be recording kind of 7 or 8 videos and, having a few drinks and having cocktails with funny names. And then we would, we would basically release those videos every day throughout the week. But what it meant was that every single day of the week, it shows us drinking and being silly and talking about the cocktails and rum and things that we were drinking. And, we just started to wonder, what message does it send saying that we're drunk every single day of the week, especially at like noon our time. So, we might actually, we should still resurrect Drunk Trailer Ambush from time to time on an appropriate night.
Occasional cocktails with it. So we could mix that and just maybe not so much focus on it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you for subscribing to the Gray Man. Yeah, Gray is an awesome dude. We used to live in the same country and hang out and listen to the same music. So yes, yeah, awesome. I guess what we found in terms of reality with YouTube, though, is it is a grind. You put in, like you said, hundreds and hundreds of hours of work. Nobody just goes on YouTube and makes it big and is a multimillionaire overnight. It takes tons and tons of work. And, for us, I had a friend, actually, Raj, who does kind of technology videos. And when we started, he just hit his 1,000 subscribers. And he was telling me that there's kind of this hockey stick thing where, you grind and grind and grind, and then eventually something hits and you get some success. And every kind of milestone you hit, you get a little bit more success and it builds up from there. But I got to say, for us, that didn't seem to be a reality for almost the entire first year. We were still grinding away, getting like 1 new subscriber a month or something. It was painfully slow. But I think for us, we've really enjoyed kind of reaching different cultures. And certainly we've had a lot of new subscribers from India since we've started covering Indian movies. So it's been a really fun journey for us and also a big boost to our channel. So we like that. Yeah, so in the chat room here, One day, oh, in one day. So yeah, I think today actually after lunch we're going to be recording some reactions. We'll probably record 7 or 8. That's kind of our normal, our normal recording session, which takes about 3 hours normally. So yeah, it's a good chunk of time. But we kind of do that once on a weekend, and then each video takes about 1 hour to kind of edit and get out every day. So literally kind of 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. every weekday, I stop work, open up the video editor, get the next video out for the next day. You know what kills me though is the YouTube's fair use policy, which, you know, every now and again it just picks up on something that it doesn't like for copyright reasons, and it just blocks you worldwide. So we end up having to, like, there was the Vakil Saab video the other day that I literally had to edit and upload 9 different times before YouTube would allow it. It just, it sucked. So yeah, like normally it's about 1 hour per video to edit, but sometimes with that one, it was probably like 4 or 5 hours. It was, and I was trying to do that while I was on meetings in my day job. And
could you talk about the extra effort that you go to add the subtitles?
Oh yeah, you know, I actually love that, but it is a lot of work. So if you watch a video on YouTube, you see the subtitles that are kind of you know, go along with that video. You can't download those subtitles, or, you know, even if you do, there's no way to kind of embed those in your own videos. So I literally hand type out the subtitles to every Indian movie that we review. But the thing I like about that is I feel like sometimes the automatic subtitles miss some of the nuance and the kind of cultural relevance of things. So I actually tend to do a little bit more research and try to figure out what the person's really trying to say, rather than just the literal translation of the Hindi or the Telugu words or whatever it is. So.
And you'd have no idea because you're just watching the video and you're just kind of reading the captions, and you'd have no idea how much time goes into creating those, because they just look like they should be automatically generated, and they're not.
Yeah, Gray's saying the auto subtitles are hilariously bad. We had a video, I think it was maybe the Suicide Squad or something, and I can't even remember what I was saying, but the auto subtitles picked it up as being "your dad was masturbating." And I clearly did not say "your dad was masturbating" at all. But yeah, the auto subtitles thought that I did. Is there anything you've learned in terms of the performance part that has surprised you as we've been on this YouTube journey?
I think it's taught me to be more expressive, and kind of, like when we're doing the trailer reaction specifically, it's taught me to be a bit more interactive with when we're watching them, because otherwise you're just going to sit there and I'm just going to be staring at a screen and then I'm going to talk about it, and that's no fun. So kind of learning to be more emotive when I'm watching things is what I've learned from the trailer reactions. I think from my favorite ones are the ones that we write as kind of deep dives on movies or genres, or movie tropes. That's one of my favorite ones that I've done. Are the ones that we actually write and then perform, rather than it's kind of scratches a different itch than the trailer reactions. And I really like doing the research and like writing them. And I've learned that it's not always rewarding, kind of the effort that you put into it. So I've had to kind of switch. Instead of covering movies that I think people might like, I cover things if it's something that I'm going to enjoy covering, even if, like, I'm kind of assuming that it's probably not going to get much traction. So now for me, that's kind of more of a hobby rather than the thing that's keeping our channel kind of popular and gives us most of our content are the trailer reactions, which are so much fun to do, less fun to edit, but I can just leave all that to Simon, so that's fine. But yeah, I think kind of having to like learning that the stuff that I create, like if I'm writing a video, then that's just for me, and I really enjoy doing them. And I'd like to, now work's calmed down a little bit, I'm hoping to get some time to write some more and kind of get back in that headspace again, because I was able to write not quite one a week, but writing regular enough. And we wrote tons when we were doing the movie introductions at the Alamo. So I'd like to go back into that, because I really enjoy that process, and it really does scratch that kind of that creative itch. And being able to research and then share things about movies that I really love and trivia and that kind of stuff. So I do want to go back to that.
Yeah, I'm the same actually. I used to love. So we did the kind of movie intro ones where we would pretty much just talk about trivia and Easter eggs and why the movie was special. And they were like 8 or 9 minute kind of videos where we would put in clips from the video as well to try to kind of show what we were talking about. Hey, I know I look like the Undertaker, but yeah, we would also do kind of reviews. I did a little series called Why We Love It, where we would talk about movies that people were kind of polarizing, ones that a lot of people complained about. And I would basically just pick 5 things to say, okay, I know a lot of people hate this movie, but here are 5 really cool things that we love about it. And I do want to go back and do that. Like the Fast and the Furious movies, I absolutely love. And I'd love to just pick out 5 things or even 3 things from each of the Fast and the Furious movies and talk about why I love them. I'd love to do the same with the Rambo movies as well and talk about those. And I think kind of the whole reviews as well, like they take a lot more. I was even starting to write a series called WTF Happened To, where we would take an actor who just was massive and then disappeared. And the first one that I wrote was about Brendan Fraser. And it was kind of, Brendan Fraser's story is actually really sad. Like he's gone through abuse, but also physical injuries and emotional challenges. And yet he's kind of coming out the other side. He lives really close to us now. And he seems to be on kind of his second wave of stardom. But, I kind of envisioned that a lot more like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver or the Trevor Noah show or something, kind of like sitting behind a desk, almost telling a news story. But yeah, but we wrote all of that stuff and just haven't had the time to actually record it yet. So we've got quite a few ideas, as well as just doing kind of breaking news on movie stuff as well, of when release dates move up or there's some big announcement or rumors about the cast of some new movie or something. I think that would actually be really cool. So
actually, one of my favorite ones was the one I wrote for Star Trek Day last year. That was a fun one to put together, and that kind of covered. They had a special all-day event where they had different panels and things, and I wrote a little bit about kind of my thoughts about the panel, about news that was shared, but also some background stuff. And I shared a little kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that I knew from researching it. I really enjoyed that one. And all of our kind of deep dive type research videos are all on our YouTube channel as well. You just need to kind of get through 1,000 trailer reactions. But there are playlists for all those as well. So you can go back and watch how terrible our editing used to be.
Yeah. So Gray was asking if we're using a laptop camera or a separate cam. For this one, we're actually using a separate camera. It's the one that Ellie uses for meetings for work. So it's just like a $30 webcam from Amazon, but it just seems to give us a bit more although it looks really dark in here, but it seems to give us a bit more color and vibrance. But hey, and thank you, Nagoji. You were saying that you appreciated the research we did on our movies, and we kind of feel that's really important. Like I think a lot of people, especially with Indian movies, a lot of foreigners try to kind of cash in on how popular some Indian movies are, and just kind of react in some overreacting way. The thing that actually appeals to me about the Indian movies that we've covered so far, I'm a big fan of historical movies, especially these big historical battles and things, kind of war movies, but even biographies as well. And I love doing the research about who these characters were in real life, who the actors are that play them, and what it means to Indian culture. And yeah, that I just thoroughly enjoy doing that research, and I think that kind of communicates in the videos. So yeah, we do really enjoy that journey. Yeah, and our built-in webcam is awful as well, Gray. We did a video. I don't know whether many people have seen it. We did an interview with the cast and crew of the movie Finding Ohana, which is a Hawaiian movie that was basically #1 on Netflix through most of January and February this year. Really, really awesome movie. It's kind of a Goonies style, Indiana Jones style adventure movie of some children who basically go to find pirate treasure in order to save their grandfather who's had a heart attack and is going to lose his house. So it's a really, really heartwarming story, but also just great if you love that kind of old style. And there's lots of Easter eggs in there for people who do love movies like The Goonies. But we interviewed the cast and crew of Finding Ohana. That's probably one of my favorite moments on this YouTube journey was just asking the director of a blockbuster Netflix movie, hey, could we do an interview with her? And inexplicably her saying, yeah, sure. But as we were doing the interview, I was very aware of how much our camera sucked. And there were all these beautiful actors and actresses all over the world just on these amazing cameras, and we're just grainy and gray.
Yeah, because they actually get set up by their PR people. They get sent equipment and told how to set up the equipment, so they get good equipment, and they get told how to actually like the logistics and the practicalities of how to do the like online interviews well, and like what to have behind you and how to have your lights and stuff. And obviously we didn't have that, and yeah, it really did highlight the benefits of having a separate camera.
You know, it just made me also so excited for when we can travel again, because in the old world, we would have just jumped on a plane to Los Angeles and been there in person with them in a room. And just the thought that we may be able to do that later this year is so exciting. And hey, Kamesh Crafts, thanks for joining us. We are doing awesome, thank you. We're celebrating our first birthday of being on YouTube, and we're celebrating hitting 3,000 subscribers. So we are very, very grateful for everybody joining us and supporting our channel. So I guess you were talking about your favorite videos so far. I also loved your Star Trek one. It's funny, not many people actually watched it. And, you know, the new Star Trek shows get so much hate, like the old school fanboys, the same with everything else, right? You know, if you're a big fan, if you were, you know, born in the 70s and love the Star Wars movies, you're probably not going to be too complimentary about the new ones. And the same, I'm sure, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which, here's a little hint, we might be looking at today. I'm sure that's going to get a bunch of hate from the fanboys. But, you know, I actually thought that Star Trek video was awesome because you kind of talked about how excited you were about the different properties, the different franchises that were coming up, but also you talked about the actors and their story. And the thing that really got to me was you were talking about Wesley Crusher and a time when he was going through a really, really rough time in his own personal life. And his whole family had pretty much abandoned him. He was effectively something of an orphan. And the way the cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation brought him in to their family, like they essentially adopted him as one of their own. And I literally teared up when I was editing that video. And you know, that was the only thing that kind of bummed me out, was I thought it was such an emotionally intelligent thing that you said and video that you created that I kind of wanted more people to watch it. But hey, you know, that's the way YouTube goes.
Yeah, I think you do have to have kind of a fairly zen approach about it. Like if this hits, that would be great, but you kind of need to find other things to kind of motivate you. So it like sharing your thoughts on something, it needs to be enough motivation. Anything more than that is a bonus, but you kind of need to just get in kind of a healthy space of something's going to hit. It might not be this, it might not be the most special thing to you, but you know, someone's going to enjoy it, but it might not be as big as maybe it deserves to be or you would like it to be.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, Jayashri, thank you for joining our live stream. We're doing great, thank you. And yeah, to your point, you know, we've had a lot of people say to us, well, if you want to get famous and if you want to make money off of YouTube, then you have to do blah, blah, blah. But, you know, we just do it because we love it. And as I said earlier, we chose not to monetize our channel because, you know, we just didn't want to piss people off with annoying ads all the time. There's enough of that on YouTube as it is. So we just do this stuff because we really enjoy it. And I think people pick up on that passion. And that's maybe why we've had the growth that we have.
I think the other benefit we specifically have is I feel like there are guides on how to get your YouTube channel to really pop, like do, you know, like how to have your thumbnails look and how to kind of put hooks in the trailers to try to kind of catch people and like get people interested. And I feel like some of those things, it's like with viral videos and kind of clickbait, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, you're going to get a ton of clicks and you'll probably get a ton of subscribers because those, no, they're not tricks, but, you know, like they're going to get you to where you want to be. But it's not, some of that stuff is annoying to watch. Like with the ads, like, yes, that's where you get your money from, but they're annoying. And you've got those like annoying gamers who are just like, hey guys, welcome to my channel. And you're just like, I just want to know how to get past that bridge on Tomb Raider. And you don't want the whole ramble, but the whole ramble is kind of gets you to that monetized place. But I feel like we've got the benefit of having two teenagers in our actual house that we can kind of use for market research purposes. And so they can tell us what kinds of videos they enjoy, and kind of what kind of stuff is annoying. So we can kind of and they gave us a lot of ideas for this live stream as well, of kind of the things that they enjoy hearing people talk about when someone's doing a live stream. And so it's kind of nice having that insight. And I think they are glad that we're not kind of doing too cheesy YouTuber stuff. We are going to make some merch at some point and force them to wear it, but that's just the price you have to pay if your parents are into YouTube.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I feel like you have to be authentic. Like, nobody wants to watch some fake person, just trying to look like everybody else. I think you've just got to kind of be yourself on YouTube, and we try to do that. Although we experiment with things all the time. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. And I see in our live chat now, James from the Alamo. James, we miss you, man. We were just talking right at the beginning of this video about how we got into this whole thing, and it started really with just introducing, a movie to 10 people at the Alamo on a Monday night and trying to get into it from there. But man, I really felt like towards probably after a couple of years of working with the team at the Alamo, it was such a family feeling, and I would love it. We hosted movies that we honestly weren't massively excited about, like Frozen 2, and we did that Onward movie with the pair of pants that was the kid's dad. And and we would do kind of craft parties and things. And James, I think the last time we worked together, and it's a little embarrassing now because imagining the world as it is after COVID, but we did a craft party with you for that Onward movie. And one of the activities, and you helped us lay out all these tables at the front of the theater to build these different things. And one of them was to make a book of spells or something that involved licking envelopes. And just the thought of getting like 300 people together licking stuff like the weekend before the world shut down for COVID. Man, that was kind of funny. Hey, Jayashri. And so, I think we've learned a lot. There's still a lot that we really want to do with this. And I know we get a lot of recommendations of things that people want us to do and movies that they want us to cover. Some of it's challenging from a copyright point of view. Like, a lot of people want us to react to different songs and different scenes. Some of them we can. Some of them are actually quite heavily policed by YouTube. So we have to be a little bit careful about how we use copyrighted material. But some of it's just time. We both have day jobs, pretty busy day jobs. And, finding an hour a day to edit reaction videos is okay. But trying to find, 2 hours to write a script and then another couple of hours to record it and then 3 hours to edit it for a bigger video, sometimes that's just challenging. So, a few people have asked if we're going to visit India. Man, I was saying earlier, I would love to travel anywhere right now. We've traveled maybe kind of a 2-hour drive out in a radius around where we live in the last year. And we used to travel quite a lot. We were lucky enough to do so. But but we would absolutely love to visit India at some point in the future. I was saying earlier, one of my favorite things has been interviewing the cast and crew for different movies, especially these kind of smaller indie movies like we did Life After the Navigator. That was just an awesome experience. And I love the thought of interviewing people in person, and particularly, I guess if I could imagine anything, it would be heading out to India for some premiere of a big movie and actually getting an opportunity to interview some of the stars out there. That would be, the kind of India trip I would love to do.
Hopefully someone impossibly handsome.
No.
And then we could be projected on the Burj Khalifa as well.
Oh my goodness. James was talking about the Cats hosting. Do you want to explain what that was?
That was an experience that changed me, and probably not for the better. I recently came out at work as a Cats fan, and I didn't do my reputation any good. And
when we say Cats, we kind of mean the old Cats Broadway musical, but even more so what was it, 2019?
No, it was 2020.
Oh, was it?
That was the last thing I hosted before everything.
That was when you did the hosting, but the movie came out in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I hosted it, I think 12 times. I would have sat through it 12 times. I think I only watched it 4 times.
Yes.
All the way through, just because of the commitments. But doing that in a week was a lot, and it definitely changed me as a person. But I still stand by that movie. I know it's terrible, but I still love it. I want to watch it again.
Yes.
It's so bad. I love it so much.
Yeah, I watched that Cats movie twice over a weekend, and oh my God, there wasn't enough beer to make that movie palatable. And we tried to make it really fun as well. You would heckle the movie, and yeah, there were all these kind of funny things you would do throughout, and it did make it an entertaining experience, but holy crap, that is a bad movie.
I still love it though. Oh, I sang every single time I watched it. I sang all the songs.
Yes. Well, so Gray was talking about practicing our dance moves in case we get discovered by Bollywood. I am literally the worst dancer. And I've had people, my friend May had a Star Wars themed wedding a few years ago, and I flew out to the Bay Area near San Francisco for that. And she was saying, we're going to do a flash mob and it's going to be this song. Of course, I'd never heard of the song because all I listen to is extreme Scandinavian death metal. So that meant nothing to me. And she said, oh, look, I'm going to send you a YouTube video of these 8 moves. All you need to do is just practice these 8 simple moves. And I just looked at it, and it was like, I don't know, like looking at aliens with too many limbs. I was like, I just cannot remember this at all. I have 0 rhythm and 0 memory for doing any kind of a dance routine. So there is equally 0 chance of me getting picked up by Bollywood for any kind of a dance number. So what else were we going to talk about? I think, I guess, but I've lost the plot. So we were going to try to show you a couple of things in our house. We didn't practice this, so I'm not sure how it's going to work. But we have a few pieces of artwork, 8 whole moves, exactly. And the people did that flash mob as well, and I literally just backed away. You know, the most embarrassing moment, and I'll come back to the artwork in a minute, but the most embarrassing moment I've had, I think, well, no, not at all. I've had some terribly embarrassing moments. One of the most embarrassing moments I've had was we did this warrior dash, like an obstacle course in the mud in North Carolina, I think it was. And our team, it was under Miss Fit, who's a former Miss Olympia runner-up. She's awesome. She has a YouTube channel called The Adventures of Misfit, where and a movie, and she talks about bodybuilding and becoming your own superhero. She's amazing. And she ran the team that year, and we raised, I think we had a total of something like $1 million from the event, and one of those giant-sized checks. And she was called up on stage with her team. So we all get up on stage with this giant-sized check, and they start playing, I think it was maybe the Cupid Shuffle, or like one of those songs that is like, to the left, to the right, turn around and clap this. And I've never heard this song in my life. And I'm on a massive stage. Actually, this was in Southern California, wasn't it? And we're on this massive stage in the sunshine, music blaring. Everybody on the stage knows the song. It was like one of those terrible nightmares where you're in school and you look down and you're not wearing any clothes. You know, it was like that, where I'm just on this stage and everybody's dancing in time perfectly with the moves. And I'm stood there like an absolute tit at the back, just trying to dig a hole for myself to climb into.
It wasn't great.
It was not great. But all that being said, I wondered, we've got a few pieces of artwork, some from the Alamo itself, that I thought we might try to show you guys. So maybe if you take the camera and turn the light on with it.
Okay.
This is going to be a bit of a first for us, like a mobile filming type of thing. So I'm going to unplug the laptop. We're going to turn the light on the camera and try to show you. If you take the camera off. Whoa, and we're going to show you our stuff.
This is the amazing technology that we're
doing. So, in our lounge, we have, if you see this one here, this is a signed poster of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We hosted a Willy Wonka party with the child actors from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which was just amazing. And this poster was signed by all of them. And I got to dress up as Willy Wonka himself and I sang that Pure Imagination song that I'm not going to punish you with now. So that was really, really fun, that event. And it was the only one that actually had the child star who played Charlie Bucket in the movie at the event. So we got to hang out with all of them. So let's do these ones. So you got a little Iron Man tin sign. You've also got up here, if you can see, this is a Japanese style piece of artwork based on the video game. Can you recognize what video game that might be based on? And yeah, Grey Man, the cast of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory were absolutely older than us.
They were very old, properly old people.
So that is based on the video game Castlevania, as in, I guess that's a Japanese version of Simon Belmont, who was the main character, but he's got his kind of whip thing with the knife on the end, and he's fighting vampires. So that is a Japanese version of Castlevania. Next up, we have our Carrie Fisher picture, and I just love this. Ellie got it for me a while ago, and it's basically Carrie Fisher with Gary Fisher, who was her dog, giving a middle finger, which who could want any more than that? Then, can you guess what video game this piece of Japanese artwork is based on? This is much, much easier than the last one. You must recognize the dude with the mustache being pulled by the little dude with the round hat. Yes, it is Mario Kart indeed, Grey Man. So that's one of my favorite. It just is awesome. Let's do the Mandalorian one over here. This is a very small one, but
it's by the same artist as the Carrie Fisher picture.
Yeah, exactly. That was Koopa Troopers in Mario Kart, Grey. And yeah, this is a little Mandalorian piece. And we also have over here a big Mandalorian poster, but it's really just a poster. Let's just check out Wonder Woman real quick. So we have this big Wonder Woman tapestry. This is the couch where we used to record all of our videos. And this is where we used to record our first ever drunk trailer ambushes, and Wonder Woman's kind of just hanging there. I don't know why she's only got half a face, but she's kind of cool, I think. And let's check out our big Jurassic World. So this one is kind of special. This actually came from an Alamo Drafthouse. They did an auction of Alamo Drafthouse posters that were actually up. This one came from the owner of Alamo Drafthouse's private collection, and these are made by Mondo. Just really, really awesome renditions of different movie posters. So this is obviously the IREX, and along the top, you can actually see the different animals that went into making the IREX when they kind of spliced the DNA together. And then next to that one, we have Terminator Dark Fate, which, you know, I know a lot of people didn't like Terminator Dark Fate, but I actually really did. And I just think it's a really awesome poster.
Well, what about the others?
Oh, we're going up the stairs. Oh, my goodness.
This is very
emotional. So this is one that Ellie's sister, Hannah, and my sister-in-law got me for Christmas, which is a kind of a fluorescent colored X-Wing, which I just really like for novelty value. And last but definitely not least this is a picture of Jack Black in a Speedo jumping a skateboard and signed by Jack Black. And there is a fun story behind that one. But let's head back down. We're going to head back down to our table, and well, at the back of my head, that is a weird view. That's a view I never want to see again. All right, let's settle back in here. And then we have time for probably 5 minutes of last questions and thoughts from people. So, wow, there you go. So you've now seen the horror of our artwork and stairs and what our lounge looks like. Not the biggest house in the world, but it's crammed full of nerdy stuff. So what did we miss? We missed Chris. So Chris Boskery has been educating us quite a lot, actually, on Indian stuff that we've covered off and especially goofed on, which I learn more from goofing than I do from getting things right. So I've always appreciated Chris's education. But so have you seen the acting by some of the people to play white people in Indian movies? Oh, wow. No, I have not. Wow, that's interesting. God, yeah, I'd heard that actually. I had a friend who was recruited into a Bollywood movie in exactly what you said. He was just a tourist in, I guess it was in Delhi, maybe, and he was just approached by somebody on the street saying, "Hey, we'll pay you." It was like $100 or something if you just come along and act in this scene. And I think it was even a dance number, and he was just an awkward guy in the back, just standing there awkwardly, not dancing. Yeah, that is fascinating.
No,
And
I definitely need to go to India.
yes, yeah, I would love that. I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but one thing I really do regret actually is Kevin Smith, and we've been lucky enough to bump into Kevin Smith a few times, and he's a really, really awesome dude. And he was making a movie, so he basically made a movie called Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, and he has his own kind of cinematic universe. And he had a heart attack, and he decided he was going to make this Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie where he brought together all of his favorite people and just celebrated, not being dead effectively. So he made this movie called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and we had the opportunity to be extras in it. And we basically would have had to go to New Orleans for 2 weeks. And I was thinking, oh my God, I've got work. I can't just drop everything and go to New Orleans. But when you watch the making of documentary of that movie, the extras were basically in a ton of stuff, and they got to hang out with the cast and crew through the entire filming process. And yeah, they got kind of speaking parts rather than just, being in the background. And yeah, I think if I ever have the opportunity to be an extra in a movie again, I will take it without a shadow of a doubt. And it's just so weird. Like then I was traveling a lot, and I was thinking, how am I going to fit in this 2 weeks in New Orleans? Now we haven't traveled for a year, and yes. So yeah, Gray was asking Indomitus Rex. Yeah, that's right. The Indomitus Rex was the I-Rex in Jurassic World, and I think I reckon is probably going to be the villain in the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous animated show season 3. There was something they were cooking in a big tube that just came out at the end of season 2. Oh, thank you for the kind comments about our house.
And your hair.
And my hair, yeah. My hair, I love dyeing my hair blonde. And it, red hair doesn't take dye at all. And, I like just bleaching my hair, just a ton of peroxide. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of turned into like cotton candy or candy floss now. It's been a little bit too fried by the bleach, but yeah, we've had a few opportunities to be in things. My favorite one that I mentioned just at the beginning of this video was we had the opportunity to host a Star Wars documentaries premiere, and it was going to have a live Q&A with Anthony Daniels, and I made my own Mandalorian armor, and I was going to be dressed as the Mandalorian for that. And that was literally, I think, the Saturday before, or it was the first weekend that the theaters all shut down because of coronavirus. And we were thinking, oh, it'll probably be a couple of weeks while they get a handle on this virus, and then everything will be back open again. And yeah, sadly not.
So Gray asked why I changed my name on Facebook. So previously I did use my real name on Facebook. I always thought it was a bit silly that people use fake names. But I get it, like, especially for people, like, I've got friends who are teachers who don't use their real name on Facebook because otherwise parents, come find them and try and befriend them, which I don't think is appropriate either. I was using my real name. And then, so my role at work is pretty high profile. I lead a team of 80 people. And I got a little bit unsettled when I was just chatting in a local group on Facebook about kind of immigrant stuff. We were chatting about which local supermarkets had real Cadbury's chocolate and that kind of thing. And someone recognized me from work and was asking me questions and was then grilling me about job opportunities on my team and that kind of thing. And it just made me a bit uncomfortable. So I changed my name. And the reason I chose Risa is because there was a silly typo when in my one of the kids' teachers emailed me and made a typo and called me Mrs. Riser. And Riser is a planet in Star Trek that is like an amazing spa vacation planet where everyone goes just to kind of hang out, and it's just like a vacation planet where people just kind of go and read books and swim, and it's not quite a pleasure planet, but there's that kind of vibe where people just hang out. The entire planet is just awesome, and everyone wears swimwear, and I kind of that's the vibe I want to bring to 2021.
Yeah, I feel like we could all do with a vacation there. Yes. Yeah, it's a little bit scary. I have a friend who recently interviewed for another job, and they do background checks, especially in IT, for people to kind of make sure they haven't been doing anything too sketchy on social media. And this guy had just liked a couple of vaguely amusing tweets about certain politicians in the United States. And he was able to get a kind of a printout of the background check that they did on him. And they had literally gone through his Twitter. And every time he liked a tweet that was in any way insightful or inflammatory, it flagged him as having participated in inciting violent behavior or something. So, yeah, I do think, yeah, we all say things on social media that could potentially come back to bite us, I guess. So.
And especially with immigration stuff as well, when we do, and if you guys travel internationally, especially kind of into and out of America, just be aware that they do. I don't know that they have the right. It's a little bit of a gray area, but there have been multiple instances of people being kind of pulled for questioning during when they're going through immigration, and your phone might be gone through, and they will ask you for the password so they can access your social media and see what's on your phone. So it's worth. I've got a lot of friends who are more paranoid than me, who uninstall social media apps on their phones before they travel internationally. So and as immigrants, we're in a little bit of a vulnerable situation in terms of kind of being able to stay here and kind of whether we wanted to consider citizenship at some point in the future. So it's something that we just tend to be very wary about.
And, we're in the privileged position, even though we are immigrants, we're not US citizens, we're in the privileged position to be white, and I think there are privileges that come with that. I would imagine that if we were from India or Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, the level of scrutiny would only be more. So I guess sadly, that's the world we live in. But well, there we go. We've been on here for an hour, gassing away with you. We've really enjoyed the chance to chat with everyone. We really, really appreciate everybody who helped make our first year a really phenomenal one and helped us get to 3,000 subscribers. When we started out doing YouTube, I was part of like a Reddit community of new YouTubers. And the best piece of advice I ever saw was, if you do something and people like it, just keep doing it. And that's kind of what we did with Drunk Trailer Ambush and our reaction videos, and the more we hear that people like things, the more we just try to focus on those things. So, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but we really, really appreciate everyone who has supported us on this journey. So,
and I think if I could give you one takeaway kind of to follow up on after this, if you enjoyed this video, then definitely go back and look at some of our older videos before we started doing the trailer reactions. They've been really popular and we really enjoy doing them. And they're a format that we're able to get quite a few out. The earlier videos we did, like we've said a few times, we did deep dives on movies or movie tropes or TV shows or specific events that we wanted to, just personally, that we wanted to talk about more. So those are definitely worth revisiting, and you don't need to scroll through 1,000 trailer reactions. You can just look at the playlists. And like the different types of videos that we've done, but they're from the early days before we learned how to do this a bit more professionally. So the editing is a little sketchy. We tend to mumble. The lighting isn't great, and yes, half of them are just on my phone before we got a proper setup. But they're really fun, and we put a lot of effort into researching and kind of writing the scripts and things. So yeah, go back and have a look at some of those. They are really fun.
Yeah, my favorite thing about those videos is I came up with the concept of negative Simon. So I would be arguing with myself, and there would be another version of me that would be in black and white with like an emo voice, just bad mouthing things while I was enthusiastic about them. And it was a lot of fun. I actually really want to come back and do more of those. So there you go, friends. Well, we're going to leave you to it. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday, whether it's afternoon, evening, night, or morning, wherever you are. And but we will be back, as you know, tomorrow. Tomorrow we've actually got we covered an Indian movie recently called Kabir Singh, and that was a Hindi language movie from 2019. There was a 2017 Telugu original version of that called Are You Ready? That's coming out tomorrow. So our movie tomorrow is Are You Ready? And that one was actually really interesting to kind of compare and contrast between the Telugu original and the Hindi remake. And both of them were made by the same director, which was kind of fascinating. So that's tomorrow, but we're going to do kind of 3 hours of recording today to go create a lot more content for you for the rest of the week. So we will be back very, very soon.
Peace out, nerds.
Take care, friends. Bye.